Hello everyone, I am filmmaker Casey Neistat, and this again is Live at Sundance. We are a one-hour show that brings you real-time interviews with festival filmmakers and catches you up on premieres and festival news and events and behind the scenes, all things Sundance 2014. This is my last day hosting. We've been rehearsing that all morning. But tomorrow and Friday, you will dig my replacement, Jimmy Conrad. He's a former professional soccer player. He's really good at soccer. I don't know how good he is at this kind of thing, but you know, he is good at soccer. He's really good at soccer. And he's host of the popular Kick TV live show, so he'll be great and an enthusiastically worthy replacement for me. We've got a great show for you today. Actually, all week I've been looking for a mirror and asking for one, which no one delivered to me, but I found one this morning so I could share with you at home what the behind the scenes. Does this work? Too much reflection. Like this, like that, lower a little bit. Like that, like this, like this, like that. Is this working at all? Like this? Anyways, I had this great idea that didn't work, to have a mirror and show you at home what I'm looking at, because this is just a massive undertaking by a great team. YouTube, Sundance, everyone behind this that made it a big success. It's not over, it goes on 2 more days, but anyways, just wanted to show a little love to everyone on the other side of the camera. Fantastic show today, and I do ask that you send in as many questions as you can. Use the hashtag Sundance, the hashtag live, and I'll ask guests your question as best I can as we go along. The first video segment we have for you today is from the documentary The Case Against 8. It's a movie about the team of people that took the subject of same-sex marriage to the Supreme Court. Great film. Cue the clip.
I'm a documentary filmmaker, I'm a gay Californian, I'm a gay American, so obviously this is something that was very personal to me.
This case lasted over 5 years, so we never knew if it would make it to the Supreme Court.
My name is Paul Katami. I'm a plaintiff in the Prop 8 case and subject in the film The Case Against 8.
And I'm Jeff Cirillo, his husband.
I'm Sandy Steer. I'm one of the plaintiffs in the Prop 8 case.
Chris Perry, also a plaintiff in the Case Against 8.
Because we're just regular guys from Burbank, California, and to be here at Sundance with a film that doesn't have an agenda but just tells a story is huge for us.
It was a very controversial case at the beginning. A lot of even LGBT rights leaders didn't think it was the right strategy, but I was very curious about why these people were doing what they were about to do. And so Ben and I just sort of began documenting the process.
Once we got to know them and know the story of their families, we really were drawn to that and wanted to share them with the world.
I think what we noticed during the case in those hard times was it wasn't just about us. It wasn't just our story, that our story really resonated with so many millions of people.
They were the ones testifying, putting their personal lives out into the public eye for scrutiny.
We never felt that we could ever let them down, so we could never stop fighting for them, never. The response that I've gotten all over the country, everywhere, is the love mail.
Ted and I, even though we're quite divergent on most political issues, have become good friends. And we were good friends before this case. And we'd actually talked about trying to find a case to work together.
We believed that it was essential to try to achieve marriage equality in California and overturn Proposition 8. No, the state shall make no law abridging the rights of individuals to equal protection of the laws or due process of the law.
So to see the film kind of portray that entire journey from filing the lawsuit to ultimately winning the Supreme Court, it's a wonderful experience.
It was really powerful. It was really powerful to watch it with an audience of people where you can feel the emotion in the room. You could tell that there was sadness and joy and so many emotions throughout the whole course of the movie.
Lucky enough, 5 years later, here we are. The case went to the Supreme Court. They were victorious. The 4 plaintiffs that we were following got married. And so it's just really a dream story as a filmmaker.
I pinch myself now to the fact that I was able to witness and be there and be in the room while these things were happening and be with these people who are so inspiring.
Congratulations and cheers.
Moving right along, I'm going to hand it over to Mike Plante, the shorts programmer for the festival, who's joined by Danny Pudi,
Pudi, but I mean, too late.
Pudi, too late, we're past it.
It's out there.
Danny Pudi, and director and co-writer of the short Untucked. Great movie. Great movie about basketball jerseys, basketball clothing, basketball. Great movie.
Thank you.
And Rose McGowan, director of the short Dawn. I might ask you guys some questions from our viewers at home that come through on Twitter, but I hand it off to you.
Thank you.
You got it.
We have to apologize to Rose because she was sold. She came here thinking she was going to be with 2 manly men.
Yeah.
And this is all we got.
Too bad for you, huh?
Dousers, yeah. Very sorry.
Although he's wearing his shirt kind of tight on his muscles.
Yeah, it's actually safety pinned here.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
Hollywood costume tricks.
So you guys made 2 shorts this year, and we see 8,000 shorts every year. We show 60, and people. Of course, there's that terrible cliche like, oh, somebody famous made a short, that's why it's showing. But if they saw the list of famous people that we rejected, like really good singers and writers and directors, then they'd realize that you guys actually made good films and you're here for a reason. That said, you guys have some resources. Why did you choose to make a short for, you made a documentary, you made a narrative. Why make a short instead of trying to go make a feature this time?
Well, I guess I was interested in the ESPN 30 Films franchise, and so I had a conversation with Dan Silver at ESPN, and he asked me if I had any ideas, and this idea always was something I was playing with in my mind. I went to school at Marquette University, and the stories about the jerseys and their tradition, and so it's something I thought would fit well into that 15-minute-ish range, because it's about a basketball jersey. So I think the opportunity presented itself, and I think the idea kind of made sense for that structure, and then I got very lucky, and I'm very happy.
How about you, Rose?
For me, I've been lucky that none of the press has been very respectful. Nobody said, "Oh, you're so-and-so, that's why you got in." To which I would say, somebody has already given me that. And John Cooper, the head of the festival, he said the night that it started, he's like, "If any of you think you're here by mistake, you're not," which meant a lot. And also for me, I just wanted to have my own vision, and I got part funding from a company and part funding for myself, and I do realize maybe some people only have like $5,000 to make it. Could I have made my movie on $5,000? I could. It wouldn't have looked the same, but I could have done it. But ultimately, I got to make the movie I wanted to make, and I wanted to make a short film. I didn't want to make a short. And in fact, I hadn't seen a short till 3 months ago.
Really?
Yeah, because my Apple TV's been out for the past 2 years, and so I'm not gonna watch it. But and then I wound up being the juror at the festival for the shorts, and I had to watch a lot of shorts, and I felt your pain. I understood that it's very difficult to go through a lot of movies. It's just over. It's like, oh my God, it's so subjective. Yeah. But at the same time, for me, I think it was good that I didn't watch a lot of shorts because I wasn't trying to make one. I was just trying to make a movie. It happened to be 17 minutes long.
Right. And now that you've directed one, do you feel like you're going to do more, or are you guys just going to keep doing what comes naturally?
I have a feature that I'm on tap to direct, but I would love to direct another short too. Just because you can now knowing like what you can achieve in that. I like the discipline of it. I like things having to be cut to the bone and tight. Mm-hmm. And I like it blends to movie making not being sloppy. Mm-hmm. Which if you have more time, it can get at times that way. So just keeping, and mine is that kind of a tense thing. So tightness and tension works for me.
Yeah, this was sort of my way to learn how to direct in many ways, because it's the first thing I had done, and I really, really loved it. It was a fun process. I think there is something nice about the restrictions of a short, that you do have to make it fit, and you can't kind of go over the place. And that to me was a challenge, trying to find what is the story in 15 minutes, and there was like 3 different ways I was going, and I was like, we gotta tone it down, Pudi. We gotta get it back together. So. eventually, I think through the short, I guess the restrictions, I found a way to sort of, find that one story that was the one, and I think that helped, So yeah, I think I would like to do it again. Yeah.
And now, according to the internet, you've both dealt with very crazy people in the past. So how are you guys to your cast and crew?
Oh God, not like that. On almost any set I've been on, just because honestly, I'm a worker amongst workers, and I generally also tend to say what other people I imagine they are thinking. So I've become kind of often the de facto leader of the crew on almost any set, and usually the one that I can sometimes run interference between different groups of people and this, and I've just learned to do that for years. And some people naturally have strong rapport and leadership and crew, but like leadership abilities with crew, and maybe some people don't, and maybe the ones that don't are the ones that are the dickheads. I don't know. For me, I see no reason to abuse anybody ever. I don't see a reason for an actor to abuse anybody on set, and I certainly don't see a reason for a director to. I don't think it makes them better. I just think that it makes them hellish.
I agree. I totally agree with everything that Rose McGowan just said. I'm a middle child. I find myself a mediator. I do jokes for people. I'll eat hot sauce and I'll do dares. I'll do things like that to try to lighten the mood. That's where I find my talent work best.
All right. Mike, to jump in, we have a question from Twitter for you, Danny. Mm-hmm. I know you went to Marquette, but the question's about your connection to the story.
Yeah. Well, I think there was a couple things that really spoke to me about this story. The story is about Bo Ellis, this player from Chicago who was highly regarded in high school and went to Marquette University. And one of the reasons he went to Marquette was because he could major in fashion design. And I took a couple classes at Marquette in theater, and one of the classes I took was costume design, and I was the only guy in the class. And I was not a good costume designer ever in any way, but I really enjoyed the class because I thought it was like my first time. I went to an all-boys high school, so this was my first experience with like just being surrounded by women and trying to like learn what was going on in their minds. And to me, that was always something that really struck out to me. And I think that's something that I connected with Bo, is like this guy, not only an amazing basketball player, which is I'm not. I didn't connect with him at all in that regard, but that he was pursuing this other interest. And I thought that was really cool to see someone who has this amazing talent that everyone knows about, and also this talent that no one knows about. And that was something kind of fun for me to explore.
Right, plus the one talent is sort of the most macho, machismo, alpha
it's the juxtaposition
basketball, and then he's the only man.
And then he designed his own prom suit, things like that. It was amazing. Yeah.
So in my world, the designer would be the one that was the most masculine and most macho. That's what I would like to think.
Yeah, I lived in that world.
Yeah, in your face.
In my face. Burned. On that note, thanks for coming, guys.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, everybody. Yeah. Yay. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Casey. Thank you,
that was great. Thanks for coming by, guys.
That was like the easiest interview you've ever done.
The easiest interview you've ever done?
It really was.
Yeah.
That's all the credit goes to you. All the credit goes to you, Mike.
It's the strange set.
It is the set. It's the positive energy.
I'm like, oh wait, I'm getting kicked off the set balls. I was really enjoying sitting here.
Yeah, I'm so comfortable.
Like super.
I mean, I don't know if we could cancel all the rest of the segments and keep this going. I think we've got 40 minutes. Right, we could all get over there. There's a bunch of beer over there. Okay. Cool. Danny talking about Untucked fits nicely with our next segment, as Sundance is screening the critically acclaimed Hoop Dreams. Originally from 1994's festival, this year's From the Collection program is in this year's From the Collection program. There's more to the story, however, as Hoop Dreams underwent a total restoration with the help of a few of the Sundance Institute's partners. Here's more.
This year we selected Hoop Dreams for the Sundance Collection screening. The Sundance Collection is a film preservation program that we started in 1998 as a partnership between Sundance Institute and the UCLA Film and Television Archive. And really the idea is for it to be a place that we preserve independent film, where we can make sure that the films that are important to the history of Sundance, to the history of independent film, have a safe place to go, and under the watchful eye of archivists who can make sure that the elements we need to keep those films alive are well kept and maintained. we have this assumption that the films that are important to us are safeguarded somehow. You know, oh, well, that film, surely that film must be safe somewhere. And that's really the issue, especially with independent film. We don't know where those elements are, and we actually have to actively pursue their preservation. You know, in the case of Hoop Dreams, obviously this film is not forgotten. It's just that the elements that you need to keep it alive, to create new prints, they don't exist, so you have to make them.
What was funny is that when Hoop Dreams was made to the National Film Registry, which was a tremendous honor, I thought that they would take it and restore it and make it perfect and for all time. But that's not what happens. And so when Sundance came along and said, we'd like to preserve this, it just was extraordinary. I was totally blown away by how it looked. I couldn't believe it. And Peter Gilbert, who partner on the film and who shot the film, he's sitting right behind me. And we both just kind of turned and looked at each other like, oh my God. I mean, that's how good it is.
I like the idea that we also can put together these reunion events, and that is the ability to get together these filmmakers and the subjects.
Who's here is you know, Arthur A.G. and his mom Sheila, and just to be here with her. And then Arthur, you know, Arthur's like 41 now, and he was just excited about coming here and doing this.
Mic check 1, mic check 2, A.G. Chitlin at the Sundance 20.
I mean, sitting there watching it, it makes me think very fondly about the relationships we've formed with the families and with each other as filmmakers.
I met them at the playground one day. These 3 guys walk up on the basketball court. I'm thinking they finna get robbed immediately. They got camera equipment, they white. I'm like, oh, okay, this is gonna be crazy. So I went home and told my mom, I said, these guys wanna make a movie about me. And I exaggerated everything. She said, boy, don't nobody wanna make no movie about you. Get on out of here.
Every one of y'all have been very, very inspirational to me and my family.
You know, here's the thing, back when Hoop Dreams premiered here, we weren't able, financially, we weren't able to bring them here. This is kind of great. I mean, they're getting their first Sundance experience 20 years later.
We could not do this without the Collector Circle. They are our patron circle program that supports our archive initiative. So we bring this Collector Circle together and we pitch them a few films. I think they really get involved. I think they like the idea of knowing what it is that they're supporting and saving a film. I mean, ultimately, that's what the Collectors Circle is doing. They're saving films. I mean, the truth is we actually have to raise money around these projects. It's really costly, and that's the reason that companies don't do it, or certainly don't do it right. You're looking at, you know, anywhere from $20,000 or $30,000 to some of the projects that UCLA has taken on, I think are upwards of $400,000 or $500,000. And that's really a question of doing it right and forever. I think for us, when we're dealing with independent films and not having the support of big studios, and I also know as a complete certainty that the movies that I love will go away unless someone does something. So this is where these archives are really playing an enormous role.
I almost broke down and wept publicly when we won our audience award. It was deep gratitude. You know, to find that, and here I go again, to find that, you know, that something that we'd labored on for so long and so hard actually touched other people's hearts was just really deeply gratifying.
I get an award from the film every day by a human being that tells me that they went back to school because they watched the movie, that they got a good grade on a test that they thought about how I was in school and didn't want to put forth effort. So I get an award, a human award every day.
And I just thank them right now today that 20 years later, we have reaped benefit from it, you know, and it inspired me even more to continue living my dream.
Welcome back. I'm now joined by designer Todd Oldham.
Yes.
Who worked with the Sundance Institute on a custom line of limited edition products for this year's festival. Todd, and you know, first I want to talk about what these products are about and the importance of this and the importance of the Sundance Institute.
Exactly. Well, it's really the why we make these things, because I mean, Sundance is an incredible beautiful sort of explosion of creativity, and it creates the zeitgeist for the way so many things roll out. So to be able to be a part of raising funds that allow people to come go through the Institute. I mean, the Institute's amazing for supporting writers, directors, actors to help their vision get on the screen. This year alone, we have 23 films on the screen that went through the lab. So you see how important it is. We're not for profit, so all the proceeds from these sales go directly to the Institute and create opportunities. So it's a great thing.
And I think absolutely that's the most important part about what you're doing with the Institute and about what all of these like really fantastic products are about, is that all of the proceeds from these products go to support the Sundance Institute, which in turn supports artists from all manifestations, all facets of filmmaking,
exactly,
to realize their dream.
And also theater. I mean, it's any of the performing arts, and it's just a beautiful opportunity that's been such a long-standing institution. It sort of reshaped the way we look at entertainment or film. I mean, it's a very important thing. So it was really fun to get to partner with some of the Sundance alumni.
Yeah, you had some interesting people doing some interesting stuff here.
For instance, Susan Sarandon did these incredible pie plates for us. We have 4 different plates with different pies. May I ask you to hold that?
You can.
Yes, and then the last one, in clever Sarandon style, is actually the pie symbol in pie crust, which is very nice.
Heady.
They're all completely handmade, hand silk screened, and a set of 4.
You could beat someone to death with this.
Well, I wouldn't recommend that, but it is possible, I suspect. And Wayne White, the amazing fine artist, did a snow globe for us. So we have our very own Sundance snow globe this year. Very
do you know
sweet.
That snow globes are not allowed on airplanes by order of the TSA?
I do know that, and we've been sharing that with our guests. So,
I mean, it just infuriates me.
I hope I don't witness a bunch of meltdowns at the airport.
Well, I just feel like if I've got that amazing snow globe, the tranquility of watching the snow glisten down would calm my nerves during takeoff and landing. God forbid there be any turbulence.
That's true, but we know how important. I mean, you might wreck the world if you have the snow globe in your on plane. So
yeah, I understand.
Not good, not good.
No,
well, we also partnered with other great alumni like Floria Sigismondi, who, I mean, a fantastic director, a film director who her first film, The Runaways, debuted a couple of years ago. She did this beautiful artist journal. It's full of her fantastic artwork. So that's really amazing. And we had another fine artist. It's interesting the way fine artists transition to filmmaking often, and Andrew DeSonomu is a brilliant fashion photographer, filmmaker, and fine art photographer, and he allowed us to reprint 12 of his images in this oversized portfolio. So what's great is the stuff ranges from about $10 for Wayne's Globe up to about $250 for a bag that Anna Swee made for us out of recycled banners from last year's festival. So it's
the bag. Do you have it?
I don't have that one here, but we also did another thing with the banners from last year and made these kind of great little letter portfolios, which are available in all the stores.
So these are made from the actual banners.
Yeah, you might recognize a little bit of the logoing from last year. They're available online, and once again, a great way to support the Institute and the future of filmmaking.
When I was a kid, we used to steal the banners off of McDonald's. And it was always so impressive how strong that banner material is.
Did you make bags like Anna did?
No, we weren't that good with sewing machines and stuff. We more used them for generic, just your basic vandalism.
That's good. Well, as long as it's reused, that's important. Mr. Redford likes reuse. So, in addition to all the great partnerships we did with Sundance alumni, we always have the classic sort of Sundance 2014. But the quality is amazing this year. It feels really sensational.
This would never fit me.
Well, it's for 7-year-olds, so maybe not exactly for you, but it is really sweet. And then we did a bunch of great classic sort of usages of the motif. And what's nice is the quality is really great. The quality is as good as the films here, and that was really important that we mirrored that.
A bold statement. And
well, I've seen some great stuff. I can agree.
How do people buy this stuff? How do people support the Institute by buying this stuff?
Well, we'd love for you, if you're at the festival, please to head to any one of the 5 stores that are retailing it. They're in all the theaters. There's also got one on Main Street, one in headquarters. Everyone's welcome to please come support. But one of the easiest ways, no matter where you are, you can go online and it's all available there. If it's not sold out, and many of the pieces have sold out.
What camera are we? Go buy this stuff so people that want to make their movies, we have the funding, the Institute has it and can make it happen.
Exactly. Help Miranda July make another movie. She made this beautiful scarf for Sundance. So isn't it sweet? This is her power scarf. If you're feeling fancy, you've got diamonds on one side. If you need some executive realness, there's your tie. So
here, I'll wear this. I'll outro the segment with this. Hold on.
There we go. That's very nice. You look so professional.
It's almost the same shade as my sweater here.
It looks good. I think Miranda would approve.
I feel awesome right now. Okay, perfect. Todd, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And check this stuff out. Buy it. Support the Institute. Okay. Our next video is a piece we filmed with the Rockettes. Now, this is the Rockettes is a big deal for me. I'm going to take this off just so people can take me seriously. Yeah, right. The Rockettes are a big deal for me personally. My grandmother was a Rockette on Broadway during World War II.
Oh my God, amazing.
Yeah, she supported the troops, danced for the troops and stuff.
Oh, that's incredible.
And a handful of Rockettes came out here and worked with some folks from the festival, spreading what it is they do, strutting their stuff. And we've got this great segment from that.
It's my first time here at the Sundance Festival. It's my first time here to Park City. We're so ridiculously excited to be here and be a part of the fail-safe workshops here. We just taught a workshop with a bunch of really awesome, cool people, and we couldn't have had more fun. To come in and take a dance class, it takes a lot of courage. It's something that we are trained and taught to do, which is to dream big, persevere, take risks, and fall hard, but grow in the process. So that's been a big motto of mine.
Can never give up.
Yeah. If I would have given up on my first try, I never would have had my dream come true.
Pivot, 1, 2, 3, 4.
As creative artists, it does take a lot of courage, and something that just rings dear to us is to just keep trying, keep going, keep dreaming, and you'll make it. And we've been just thrilled to be here at Sundance and to share what we love to do with everyone here, and we had so much fun.
Yeah, I think everyone else did too.
Welcome back, everyone. I want to introduce Kamal Sinclair from the Sundance Institute's New Frontier Story Lab, who's joined by Ricardo Rivera from Klip Collective. Klip Collective. I practiced that like 5 times. That's a lot of like. Klip Collective uses insane projection mapping skills to produce unique visual experiences that they're always unique to the environment wherein they're used. This year, their work was on display at the festival in really brilliant ways. The one on the Egyptian was out of this world. And if you guys have any questions for them, keep asking questions. Keep asking with the hashtags live, hashtag Sundance, and I will try to jump in and get those questions answered. Kamal?
Thank you, Keith.
Of course.
So, Ricardo, you're pretty much a New Frontier Sundance darling at this point because you started with the very first New Frontier installation back in 2007 with the projection mapping process, and then now you've come 2012. You had an amazing piece that was Outside of the Yard, and now you're back with this new piece paying homage to 30 years of the festival at the Egyptian. And you also came through the New Frontier Story Lab with a really ambitious and very exciting project called Vacant America. Will you tell us a little bit about kind of that trajectory, what each of those pieces, kind of how you were innovating on the form of projection mapping and the convergence of story? Tell us about your work.
Okay, thanks. Well, in 2007, it was exciting to be here. New Frontier wasn't really what it is now. It was very fresh, very new. And it was in the basement of Main Street, so it was a little rough, but...
And now you're on Main Street at the Egyptian.
Yeah, we're right there. Yeah. In fact, Cooper said it best. He was like, in 2007, you're in the basement, and now you're on the roof of the same building. It's kind of crazy. Awesome. But yeah, in 2007, we just did a very subtle piece about where I just projected mundane things onto tables. So more of a think piece, I guess. But then, yeah, you're right. In last year, 2012, we really came back in a big way. Where we took projection mapping, and Shari Frilo, who's the curator of New Frontier, she challenged me to kind of bring projection mapping, because we had gone really far in the commercial world. We had done a lot of really cool pieces, but to bring the medium farther, and that's really what I'm really into, especially at Klip, is to kind of push projection mapping beyond just parlor tricks and just technique, and to really attempt to tell stories with it. And that's what we did last year. Right. And it was really awesome and exciting. We did, it's like a 14-minute parable that we projected on the yard called What's He Building in There, based on the Tom Waits song. And it's a little dark, and a little creepy, but it was really awesome, and I had such a good time with it.
Oh, it's phenomenal. I mean, everyone that was just standing outside of the yard at night, watching this building transform into a story, into, you know, just the way that you use the architecture and you brought us into a story, that's really new in the form of projection mapping. Like you said, a lot of times it's very much advertising or it's, you know, a visual medium, but now you're really working on that convergence with story. Can you tell us a little bit about just looking at 30 years of footage from Sundance and seeing all these films, like how were you able to turn that into this beautiful piece that you have on the Egyptian now? What was the meaning? What was your impression of kind of Sundance's legacy, looking at all of those films?
Well, it was a challenge. You know, after we did the piece last year, we got asked to do the trailer, where we came back here in July and projected on the Egyptian, and the goal was to celebrate 30 years. So, you know, we got all these clips and all these images, and then we looked at the Egyptian, and then this goes back to the kind of process of projection mapping at its core, and it's really, what is that medium is you're using the space as your canvas, and that canvas is very important to what you're projecting, and how that relationship, you know, what that relationship is where the magic happens. So we looked at, you know, the Egyptian, the legacy of all the, you know, it's like all these films that played here, and then you have things, you know, physically with the architecture, the marquee, the movie posters. So we kind of mapped all of that, and then like with the movie posters, there's 140 films referenced in 40 seconds.
Amazing.
In that thing. So it's like, there's no way you can catch every reference. But you know, the posters, where the posters are, they're constantly ticking at the marquee, all the titles of the films are ticking. And then using the architecture, we then designed for like the, you know, the more notable pieces. You will see like there's like 4 characters of Reservoir Dogs on the pillars, and like, you know, Sex, Lies, and Videotapes are like in different parts of the architecture. And then my favorite part, we did like a little rotoscope with Jay and Silent Bob. They're like kind of standing on the street. It's kind of awesome. But you know, that was really exciting. It was a challenge though. And then to come back, and then actually we're projecting, you know, during the festival every night on the Egyptian. And what I love about that piece, that has two of my two kind of subgenres of projection mapping in one installation. You know, there's really cool architectural patterns that are playing. It's like op art, beautiful, really cool stuff that uses the architecture for its inspiration. But then every half hour, or if you tweet a secret hashtag at it, it'll play kind of a sequel to our piece last year.
Nice. I like it.
And so the walls recede, and you see behind the walls of the Egyptian, and you see the projection booth, and it's like this projectionist's first day on the job. And every time he puts a reel into the projectors, it's like an avatar ghost of Sundance Pass. Kind of terrorizes them.
Hey, Ricardo, I'm getting some interesting questions from Twitter here, but one that I'm curious about, and it came through, is because your installations are physical, they're in physical spaces, have you struggled? What's the hardest challenge in sort of sharing that versus a visual medium like a movie?
It's a great question.
Yours is more of a physical medium. So
it's a great question, and it's something that, as an artist, I have to struggle with it. I compare projection mapping and what we do, site-specific work, is it's kind of like sand mandalas. You have to be okay with letting it go. I mean, yes, we document them. I have them to share. But there's nothing quite like seeing them in person. I mean, have you been to the Egyptian at night?
Yeah,
it's cool when you're in front of it, because you have the scale. But you know, in like 4 days, goodbye.
And I mean, personally, I think almost the irony of it is that when you see it on TV, when you see it in video, when you see it online, even when you see it in the trailer, what you do it so well that when you're seeing it on a trailer, you're asking like, is this something that's done in After Effects?
Well, yeah, well,
exactly.
But I get asked that a lot.
Yeah,
a lot of people at the festival, they're like, you did that all practically? And I'm like, yeah, it's all in camera. I mean, in fact, we like wet down the street in front of the Egyptian when we were shooting at night, just to get the reflections in the street, just to kind of preserve that. I mean, there's times when I leave mistakes in the projection mapping on purpose.
Just to
prove it. Yeah, just to be like, yeah. In fact, like, you know, tonight, you know, when it's projected at night here, you can see the shadows of the lamps, and I left them in there at certain points just to kind of...
To show that realism.
Yeah, to show the reality, yeah.
Fantastic, but guys, we're out of time.
We're out of time.
Which is a bummer. Got like 6 more questions for you, but thank you both for coming by. Thanks for the work. Keep doing it.
Oh, thanks.
It's really, really great stuff.
Thanks. All right, thanks, Casey. Thanks, Ricardo.
So I am looking forward to seeing more of Klip Collective's future projects. Now, it only seems fitting that this year the Sundance Film Festival's celebration of American independent cinema, includes a documentary about the only American independent baseball team, titled The Battered Bastards of Baseball. Let's take a look at the clip from the premiere of that movie.
Baseball's the backdrop here, but it's a documentary about a man, really, I think, and that's what I found really enjoyable about it. I think it's extremely relatable, and you get to see a man who was fiercely independent.
We started about 3 years ago, and I came across a team photo, and I just knew right away. It was kind of one of those eureka moments that I think filmmakers have when they don't know the entire story, but they know there's something here that I just got to figure out what this is.
I always knew what my dad had gone through to do it and what he faced, and it was pretty extraordinary. So it was really fun to see them want to do it and actually pick up the ball and do it.
We kind of went up to Portland and knocked on a lot of doors and begged for footage, and most news stations aren't thrilled about giving their footage away, and we got incredibly lucky that a lot of those people in those television stations remembered the Mavericks very fondly, and we're happy to be a part of it.
I think he believed in you in the point to where you just always believed in yourself, and I think that there was just a huge influence that he had in our lives.
My favorite baseball story is when I was 10 years old and I was playing Little League. My grandfather Bing had bought me a brand new first baseman's mitt. He was sitting on the sidelines and I forgot my first baseman's mitt at home, and I could hear him in my ear kind of, "Chap, where's your first baseman's mitt? Where's your first baseman's mitt?" And I was trying to block him out and just trying to focus on the game. And as the game went on, it was kind of getting worse and worse, and he was really riding me pretty well. And about in the 5th inning, I was playing first base, the ball was thrown to me, and I scooped it up and I dropped it. And I dropped the ball, and Bing just went bananas on me because I had left my first baseman at home, and the umpire came over and threw him out of the game. And it was this huge big thing. And I was like, I don't know how many grandfathers get thrown out of their 10-year-old grandson's Little League game, but for me, it was just another day at the ballpark with my grandpa, so it was...
It's interesting. Baseball, when you play baseball seriously, you need to pace yourself. You need to work in the off season. You deal with a lot of failure. I suppose as an actor, that's probably something that's valuable to you because of the amount of rejection you receive, sometimes even after you get the job. So.
It's an experience seeing Bing kind of come to life again like that, and I kind of thought that would happen, and so I think that it's kind of special to kind of hold that moment at the Sundance Film Festival.
For me, this is a pretty interesting night. My dad died 12 years ago, and that's the first time I've seen him talk since then. He's just a great man, and probably...
Up next from the World Documentary category comes Web Junkie, a film that takes a look at the overuse of the internet in Chinese culture and the resulting treatment facilities that the Chinese government has created to detox and cure kids off their addiction to online life. With me now are co-directors and co-producers Shosh Shlam and Hila Medalia. Welcome, ladies. Did I say your names right?
Yes.
I practiced again. But, okay, I just said this to you, but I said I would say it again on camera. Love the movie.
Thank you.
Really blew me away. And for our audience at home, and jump in if I'm not doing it justice, but the movie is about kids that are, and by kids, median age like 14 to 18-ish,
Yeah,
right?
like 13 to 18, yes.
13 to 18. 13 to 18-year-old Chinese kids who are addicted to World of Warcraft and similar games, playing in internet cafes. And the level of addiction is like the kind of addiction that is satirized in South Park, where they will literally wear diapers and spend 2 months straight without leaving the computer. Their parents taking them away, sometimes forcefully, and sticking them in these they call them rehab. They look more like military
boot camps
/ jails.
Yes.
And I'll shut up so you guys can talk in a minute, but the thing that I loved about the movie is in the first 5 minutes of watching it, I sort of jumped to the conclusion that I was going to watch a movie that maybe made the Chinese government look a little bit bad and heavy-handed, using these draconian measures for something that is not a crisis or a health issue, but just something that is a social phase for kids to go through. That was the conclusion I jumped to. And by the end of the movie, my opinion could not have changed more. And I think that speaks to both of you as filmmakers. I know that's what impressed me the most, is that level of impartiality with which you presented all this information. And can you talk a little bit about that? Why did this interest you guys?
I began the journey, this film, because I didn't bring up on internet. And I was concerned, and I'm still concerned, about what internet is doing to human relationship. I mean, internet changed human relationship. We don't see them as we used to see them. It's more texting, it's more emails, it's totally different. And one day I saw on the Australian television an item that one of the boys in this boot camp was beaten to death. So I began to investigate the theme and realized that China opened more than 400 rehab centers among the country. And I thought that if I want to deal with this issue and to bring up the theme, I should go to China, that the phenomena over there is very extreme. And this is the reason that I began this journey. And I went to China, and it was not so easy to find this boot camp and to meet Professor Tao and to really convince him that it's a very important story to tell.
Because your access was also very impressive. There was no, it felt, as a viewer, it felt like there was no sort of veil and no limit as to what you were able to capture, what you were able to share.
Correct, but it was a process.
Yes, like we, sorry.
No, at the beginning, they didn't let us, to be very free over there. But when we began to sleep in the camp.
Yeah, we lived there, literally.
So everything was open for us. And the trust that we created.
And you could feel the trust between the subjects, between the kids, and the cameras.
And also, we didn't get government permission. In fact, we did not even ask for one. The camp is inside military base, so there was no chance. We didn't even try.
And what are your, I hesitate to ask this question, but I want to know, because I have an opinion. What are your feelings after this experience about these rehab centers? Do you think, I ask very generally and somewhat naively, do you think they're okay? And I ask that because on the surface it seems wildly extreme.
Well, Professor Tao claims 70% success.
And defining that success means when the kids leave there,
they're back to life, because those kids, they're spending days and nights online, they drop out of school, they don't really function in their daily life. So he claimed that 70% of them are basically cured. It's hard for us to tell, whether it's not. The one thing we can say is that those camps works in China, which is a very different culture. But in the West, it won't be possible for parents to drag their kids, and the next thing they wake up behind bars and many other things.
For me, if it's good or not, we don't know.
Right.
We don't have the numbers, and he says that he follows the kids for 1 year. We don't know how he follows them.
Right.
But for me as a parent, to give your child sleeping pills, to cheat him, and to find him the next day behind bars, I don't think that this is the way. When I asked Professor Tao, don't you think that you break the trust between the children and their parents? He said, I know, but it's the better way to cure them.
And again, not to empathize so much with the sort of the bad guys in the movie, but I have a 15-year-old son, and I'm watching this, and you see these kids as they go in, and they're wimpy, crybaby sissies that sit in front of computers for 20 plus hours a day. And the one scene that really got me was when the kid's on the phone with his parents screaming, and he's like, if you let me come home now, I promise I won't spend more than 4 hours a day. And then he's screaming, you're being unreasonable, I'll only spend 4 hours a day. And to him, like, it just shows how sort of disillusioned he was with reality. To him, 4 hours a day seemed like an extreme compromise.
That's right.
And this is exactly when, you know, the boundaries between the virtual world and the real world are very blurred to these kids. You know, they really lose touch.
Right, and I think that was articulated in the scene where the kids are playing Dungeons and Dragons, a game with cards, which like ostensibly has a lot of parallels with playing a game like World of Warcraft online.
Yeah.
But instead of them like this, they're interacting with each other, they're poking each other with their cards, and they're laughing, and that scene to me really drove home.
Yeah, but you know, we have to remember what are the reasons for those children to escape to the virtual world. What made them give up the reality and choose the virtual world? One of the children said, reality is fake for him. Because the virtual world gives you rewards, you become a hero, that probably in reality you couldn't make it. So in China, there are two main reasons for the escape. The one-child policy, that are, you know,
Sure.
it's the only child, and a very, very rigid, strict, competitive education system.
Sure, it came through. Well, guys, congrats on the movie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming by. I really did love it.
Thank you.
Web Junkie, great
you.
name.
Thank you.
Great
Thank
movie.
you. Thank you so
I look
much.
forward to it coming out.
Thank you.
Okay, so back to another premiere. Let's join first-time filmmaker, film director Maya Forbes as she brings a personal story to the screen in Infinitely Polar Bear, starring Mark Ruffalo and Zoe Saldana. Play that video. Mark, right here, please. Straight.
First time I came here was in 1990, and I didn't have a movie theater, and I lived in a ski dorm with a bunch of skiers for $30 a night, dreaming about the day that I get to go to Sundance with a movie. And here I am, 8 movies later.
This is a special film. It's a deeply observant and inhabited first feature that really marks the kind of talent that we love to build platforms for at Sundance. And this is a director that I'm sure we're going to hear more of in the future.
When you're making a movie like this, you just cannot imagine you're going to one day be looking out at all of you. What it was like to write a screenplay about my family, and whether there was a lot of pain involved. Yes, there was a lot of joy involved too. I mean, I've worked as a writer for a long time, and when I wrote this script, I sort of took all of my 20-something years of writing professionally, and it was all there, very deep, but I went with instinct and feeling on this one. And I feel like the stuff I've learned over the years helped me, but I really wanted to go into memory and emotion. It was very enjoyable to write, though, with all of its pain and all of its joy. I loved writing it. It took me 40 years.
I got to hear a lot of stories. You know, it's nice to play a person that actually lived at one time, because you could add so many nuanced things that you probably could never come up with just your imagination alone. So
I loved working with them. They were great actors. They really helped me perform and get into my character and kind of just forget about who I actually was and just play Amelia. So, thank you, guys.
They can feel comfortable with us so that we can just be an affectionate family if we need it to be. But as soon as we sit down with them and they're just jumping up and down and writing on your script and doing cartwheels, and then you find yourself doing cartwheels with them, and that was us on set too, singing Baby Got Back too. That was like every morning. Oh my God, just look.
That was a look at Infinitely Polar Bear. Next, I'm going to send it over to Charlie Reff, who is a programmer here at the Sundance Film Festival. Charlie's with Desiree Akavan, whose film Appropriate Behavior examines the complexities of relationships, sexuality, and growing up in an Iranian-American family. I will be taking questions from these guys on social. Use the hashtag Sundance and the hashtag live to send in any questions, and we'll try to get to them during the interview. Charlie?
Oh, yes. Oh, hey, how's it going, Desiree?
Thanks for having me.
So I know this is your first time at a major festival like this, premiering a film, and we're, halfway through it. Where's your mind at right now?
I think I've finally surpassed that horrible, projectile vomit-inducing nervousness, and I'm beginning to ease out a little. So far, so good.
How the screenings been? How the reaction?
Really positive, really positive. So we've had 2 screenings already, and 3 more ahead of us. Things have been fantastic. Like, I just couldn't have asked for a better response and a better atmosphere and a better group of people around me. So it's just a pure pleasure. It's the chaos around being here that can make a person a little frazzled.
Any in your film Appropriate Behavior, has there been any inappropriate behavior that you've experienced at the festival so far?
At the festival.
Or that you've done yourself?
I wouldn't say it's inappropriate. I try to get a little bit of crazy dancing in at least once a day.
That's good.
And I don't find that, I think for my psyche, I will try, I'm not a binge drinker or party all night girl, but I know I made it to our sales reps party and I tried to dance like no one was watching.
Cool.
For a really long time.
So some of your dance moves are inappropriate?
Yes, I think. I mean, inappropriate for an elegant lady. I think that I just dance like a dude, and I like to push it out a little.
Good.
So that makes me feel good, and then I'm refreshed for the next day, and then I do a lot of really cool interviews like this one.
Oh yeah. Do you want to just share a little bit about what the film is so people know?
Sure. Appropriate Behavior is a coming-of-age comedy about a woman who has recently been dumped by her first girlfriend. And so she's trying to put together in her head where it went wrong, the highs and the lows of it, while also coming out to her Iranian family as bisexual.
I saw your Meet the Artist video that you made that's on YouTube that people should watch, and at the very end there's a very sweet moment that we get to see when you told your mom you got into the festival. Do you want to kind of talk about what it was like to tell your mom?
Every time I see that I tear up. I've been talking about it, it tears me up. My parents were just incredibly proud, and I think it's not easy being Middle Eastern, specifically Iranian, and having an openly bisexual daughter, especially even bisexual. I mean, if I were gay, it would be slightly better, but it's like, oh, I'm just slutty. So I think through my work, they've been able to have something tangible to hold on to and to be really proud of. And she's wanted me to pursue my dream of telling stories since I was 10 years old. And so to call her and have that be my first call and to have her really lose her shit like that and just scream at the top of her lungs and just celebrate the way as though I had just won the lottery, that having that in a video is priceless.
And did she come out to the festival?
She did. My father did, my brother did, and an aunt and an uncle.
And what was the screening like for them?
I think it was really good. My dad wasn't.
And they'd seen the film before?
No.
Oh wow.
My mom came to a press screening and I think she liked it. I wasn't sure, but then my father said he wouldn't come to the film because there's some nudity in it and sex. But he came to Sundance just to support me. And the day of the screening, I remember I overheard him talking to someone who asked if he was coming, and he said, "No, I don't want to make Desiree uncomfortable." And I pulled him aside and I was saying, I'm not uncomfortable. If you're in, I'm in. I want you to see this work. And he showed up and he loved it. When I saw him, he had tears all over his face.
Awesome. That's so great.
Yeah.
So do you have time to see any other films, or what is your schedule like now?
So now I'm starting to get bits of time here and there, and I managed to see Girl Walks Home Alone at Night yesterday, and it was so inspiring. My producer was we looked at each other during
This is another Iranian, American, Persian, story.
Yeah. And I looked over at my producer, and she said to me, "I feel like I just witnessed something special." and I felt the same way. It is a remarkable movie. I'm losing words right now. I'm speechless. It really inspired me to keep going. And that's the funny thing, is that there'll be like every day a hiccup that makes you think, why do I do this? And then you'll have a fantastic interaction with someone who inspires you, or you see a film that really defies expectations and genre and what a movie is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And you'll think, I know why I do this.
Yeah. And going forward, do you plan to, because you wrote, directed, star in the film, do you plan to star in all your films? Do you hope to just maybe act in other people's movies? What's kind of...
I want to try everything, to be honest. I have a script that I've written that I'm not a character in, and I won't be acting in, but I'm doing an animated web series right now that I do the voiceover for. And also, I would love to act for other people. I'm just trying to figure out how to keep telling stories in whatever form that takes.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the animated series so people know?
Oh yeah, the animated series is called The Origin of Shame. It's just memories from high school. I was voted the ugliest girl at my school when I was 14. So that's one of the episodes. It's a comedy. It's a comedy. It's inspired by Daria and that kind of world of absurd comedic lens. And so I went to a very prestigious New York prep school as a teenager. And so these are anecdotes and almost like a sexual coming of age story, memories of my life back then.
What's it called?
It's called The Origin of Shame, and it's going to be on a website that Sony is developing called Astronauts Wanted.
Awesome. Well, thanks for talking to us. And send it back to Casey Neistat.
We're back on me. Guys, thanks for coming by. Desiree, Charlie, great conversation.
Thank you for having us.
And really, best of luck with appropriate behavior. I have really enjoyed coming to your computer screens live these past 3 days. It's a little bit like the last day of summer camp. When you have to say bye to like that girl that you like didn't actually make your girlfriend, but you thought you were gonna, and you like go home, you're like, if I only had more time at summer camp, and all the counselors that were like kind of dicks on the first day, but then turned out to be really cool. And then like the shitty camp food, the trail mix. So it's sad. I'll be sad to leave Sundance and leave this amazing crew. But before I do, we've got a couple minutes, and I just sent out a tweet that said, ask me questions about my filmmaking process, and my Twitter feed went ape shit. So I'm gonna try to like rapid fire get through some of these. Okay, here we go. This is from Eric E. Eric E's profile picture, by the way, is like this incredibly sweet picture of himself. He's like a little kid, and he's got a suit over his shirt like this. Like, I don't know if you can see that, but it's incredible. Okay, anyway, so Eric asks, when did you start filming? Any inspirations from your childhood? And yeah, I started filming, when my mom let me play with the VHS camera when I was like 6 years old. And then, I bought my first video camera when I got my first credit card with a high enough balance to, high enough credit limit to afford a camera when I was like 18 or 19. So I think the best answer for that is the very first opportunity I had to pick up a camera was when I picked up a camera. And inspirations from my childhood, yeah, even today all the movies I make are sort of sublimations of a lot of the things that I did as a kid. Like if I had a manifesto in life, that manifesto would say at the top, my goal in life is to realize all the promises I made to myself as a kid. Like when you're a kid, you make yourself these promises. I'm gonna do this when I'm an adult. And my life's mission is to realize those promises. Okay, next. What microphones do you use? That question sucks, man. I'm not gonna answer that. But thanks for sending it in. Adobe Premiere or Final Cut, also a boring question. I use iMovie, iMovie 6. Not very good at technical stuff. What cameras do you use? You guys know I don't like these questions. Okay, here's a good one. Tips for getting better at editing. This is from Mike, spelled with a Y, B for Mike. How to get better at editing. Editing is the hardest part. Editing is where you write the story. Editing is where you make your story become real. Before that, you just have a bunch of shots, a bunch of scenes, a bunch of footage, a bunch of nothing that no one cares about. Your ability to sew it together, weave it together into a concise story is what filmmaking is about. So there are no shortcuts in editing. But for me, it's always about not being afraid to cut. No matter how much you love a scene, a shot, a moment, something you've written, whatever it is, just like you gotta kill your babies. You gotta get rid of it and think of the greater good of the movie and of the story. So if ever there was one piece of advice I had to editors or filmmakers during that process, it's don't be afraid to cut. If your instinct says it's too long, it definitely is. Okay, last question. I wanted like a big sort of magnanimous question, but nobody's giving me that. No one is giving. Where do you get your ideas from? I guess that's a good question. That question from Ashley. Ashley is a boy. I like boys with girls' name, Casey. Where do I get my ideas from? I don't know. I think ideas are a little bit overrated. I think that ideas are cheap, they're inexpensive, they're easy. And when someone comes up to me and is like, hey, I've got this cool idea, I say, save it. I think that show me, don't tell me, like make something. So with me, the ideas are always pretty basic. Like if you look at some of my most watched movies, like Make It Count, it's me running around the world. Like that movie's been made 1 million times before. So I always think that the idea is something minimal. The idea is a seed. And the seed's this big, and growing it to an oak tree is the creative process, not the idea itself. And when you see a finished product, at least one of my finished movies, that idea was never fleshed out. That idea was never whole before it was made. It was a product of the process. Okay, that's it for questions, and that's it for me. Big thank you goes out to YouTube for putting this on and this awesome set, which we didn't get to talk about nearly as much as I wanted to. I tried to climb it, didn't work. Thank you also to Weber Shandwick, Canon, HP, and Adobe Creative Cloud for all their support, making this broadcast possible, making it work almost all of the time. Remember to tune in tomorrow and Friday as Jimmy Conrad from Kick TV takes over on the set. He'll be speaking with super interesting people, creative people, rad people from the festival. Craig Johnson, director of Skeleton Twins, and the Zellner brothers, the filmmakers behind Kumiko, the Treasure Hunter, are all going to be on. So I'm Casey Neistat, signing off. I will see you on the internet.